Okay. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
You're good. Uh, okay, got everything going. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the City of Danbury Zoning Commission, August 26, 2025 at 7 p.m. Let the record show. We'll begin with a roll call at 7:06. Commissioner Bennett is absent. Commissioner Botello.
Here.
Commissioner Cabrera.
Here.
Commissioner James is absent. Commissioner Jowdy is absent. Commissioner Nazario is absent. Commissioner Nejam.
Here.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Here.
Commissioner Harrison.
Here.
Commissioner Villacrest is absent. And I am Chairman Haddad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to ask Commissioner Harrison if you could sit in for this evening for Commissioner James.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you. The next regular meeting is scheduled for September 9th, 2025. Do we have anything on that so far? No. Yes? Do you have anything for the 9th?
Not yet. Sorry.
No, we don't. Wow. Crazy.
I'm
Okay.
waiting for a couple of things, but I don't have anything yet.
All right. Interesting.
What?
Who said
I
Oh.
have maybe could it be if I could speak, could it be because his primary day?
No, that wouldn't. We're still scheduled for a meeting. That would be the first Tuesday in September.
Second.
I'm sorry, the second, yes, I thought my first meeting in September, second Tuesday in September. But Ms. Reed doesn't have any applications or petitions or any business yet for that evening. Yeah. And there'll be a cutoff date, by the way, Commissioner Cabrera, there's a cutoff date as to when they cannot come in to make a meeting, and we'll get notice of that, whether they make it or not on a cancellation. Commission members, everybody should have received their July 22nd minutes. Any comments? Is there a motion to accept the minutes of July 22nd? Motion made by Commissioner Botello, second by Commissioner Harrison. Any discussion? Additions, deletions, modifications, changes, commas, periods, parentheses, nothing. All those in favor of accepting the minutes of July 22nd, 2025, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, those minutes are accepted. We have no public hearings this evening. We have nothing under continuation of a public hearing. We have nothing under old business for discussion of possible action. We have nothing under new business, nothing under correspondence. Let me cheat a little bit and say that there's nothing under for reference only, and I'll bounce right back up to other matters. We do have an issue under other matters this evening. It's a workshop session. It's a discussion of recent changes to the zoning regulations. We're going to have the planning director make a slide presentation on whatever he wants to do, and we're going to give him the floor, and he can say whatever he wants to say. And we can talk about the past, the present, and the future. But also commission members, and because this is under other matters, I see that we have someone here that's not a commission member, and we're going to put the floor out to them as well. Hello, Mr. Hall. And come up with some questions. Ask them, hey, I saw this, director, I saw this over here. What's going on? Or is anything going on here? Or we had a petition a couple months ago and never heard from them since. What's going on? So let's use this opportunity tonight to get caught up on where we're at and where we're going. Director, take it.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chairman and Commissioner, you know what? I always like to meet you in person, but I know how difficult it is to do so. So it's a good opportunity for us to actually talk about, you know what, some stuff we already did, how it's going, some ideas we have. Again, those are initial ideas. And also some of the projects I'm going to talk about are not really under zoning, but I would like you to be in the know about what's going on.
Yes, sounds great. Can I have the commission members mute their microphones too, please? There you go. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Can you see the slide or no?
Yes, we have it. We're good to go.
Items I have, it's not really a structured presentation. It's about, discussion. So by all means, if you have any comments, don't wait. Just let's have a good discussion. Sometimes you might have questions. I might not have the answer for now, but if I don't, I will get back to you after, or maybe this week or so.
All right, so Director, if anybody has a question, you want them to just chime right in, or do you want us to wait? Just
No, discussion. It's a discussion. It's not a presentation. So,
great. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay.
so it's always helpful to have some images, just to give you more like a picture of what's going on. With that, I'm going to talk first about something that happened. It's really important for the city. I'm sure all of you know about it. Recently, the new high school was opened. We're talking about 1,400, like plus or minus students at full capacity. That doesn't mean that all of them will be able to enroll in the school immediately. It's at full capacity, which might take a couple of years. You as the zoning commission were really instrumental in realizing the project, because if you recall, a couple of years ago, the zoning commission approved the zoning amendment that allowed for this school actually to be built. Back in the days, when it used to be an old campus, it was IL40, which did not allow for a school. So at some point, Hey, Chairman, I see you are looking at something. Is there any information you need from the slide? No, okay. So at some point, the
Thank you.
zoning commission approved the zoning to residential, which in our zoning regulation, residential zoning allows for a high school. I don't know if you had a chance, any of you, to go to the school from inside or outside. It's just a phenomenal high school. It's really big. I would say it's going to be a huge asset for the city in the next couple of years. And of course, there are lots of high school students, so it will be a good way to actually move some of them to the new high school. Anyone has any questions about the high school or anything I can help out answer the questions? I know it was
Members, anything? No, I think we're good right now.
Yes, it was a huge investment from the city. We're talking about the numbers I have. It's about 168 million or so. It's a huge investment.
I was gonna
Speaking-
say, I just wanted
Go
to point out to everyone that they consolidated like all the Beaverbrook and education departments there that had like 3 different rental places, and I was really impressed by that, to have everything in one place.
It's a huge step up for the whole school system in the city of Danbury.
Waleed, what's the difference in the curriculum between that, the Career Academy, and all the Danbury High School?
My understanding from what I have been hearing from the officials, this concept is very new to New England, not just Connecticut. They actually knew about it from Nashville. They went to Nashville to see how it is. This gives a lot of students more focus on what they want to do in the future. So if you know what you want to do, they have a lot of, I would say, fancy labs and capabilities to allow you to take more hands-on classes. So if you end up just going to AI, artificial intelligence, you will be able to be exposed to the same kind of curriculum early on. So when you go to university, you already have the edge over students who are not exposed to the same experience. The same applies to other fields such as biology. This
Thank you.
system is new in New England, which is amazing. It's the first of its kind all over New England.
So do the kids have to apply to be in the academy, or they just get sent there?
I'm understanding there would be application, because the number they have is at full capacity. The school is not going to work at full capacity the first year. So there will be criteria for choosing which students will go to the new campus. I'm not really in the know about the criteria, but I know there will be some kind of criteria and application.
Well, thank you.
Commissioner O'Neill.
I just wanted to tell Bob that when I went to the walkthrough of there, they said that there's like 7 schools of learning, and I think 3 of them are here and 4 of them are at the original school. So it's not exclusively, everything new is new here, but it's not exclusive. Whatever this new program is they're doing, it's not exclusive to just this school. It's both high schools.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else at this time, commission members? Thank you, Director.
No, I'm good. Unless you have any questions, I can move on to the second update.
Yeah, let's go to the second one.
Director Walid, quick question. You may not know this, but do we know how many students are starting off this school year at the new building?
I don't know the exact number. Maybe Jennifer would know because she took the two. What I know for sure, it's not gonna be full capacity because the first year you have to see exactly what's going on, and based on which you start adapting. So the exact number, it was not mentioned in front of me, but I know it's not the number you see on the slide.
Thank you.
They'll work their way into full capacity over a certain period of time, I'm sure. Thank you. Anything else? No, we're all set, Director, on that.
Yeah, I'll move on to what's going on here in downtown. Before I start, how many of you have seen what's going on in downtown on Main? Can you say I or something so I get an idea how many people have seen what's going on? Okay.
Yeah.
Every day.
It's hard to miss.
Are you talking about the traffic? Or are you talking about the work?
You know what? Let's focus on the one. So this is going on. It's going on along basically based on the schedule. We're really happy about this. Based on what we have, we will continue to do work until end of November or so. And so far it's coming along. If you look at the left-hand side, you will see, again, this did not actually cure when you use concrete, meaning the final look is not the same, but you get an idea if you look on the left-hand side of the slide. Everything we're doing is ADA compliant, meaning it's American Disability Act compliant. So it's for all ages, all mobility levels. And what we are doing also, it's a facelift. So you don't see the new trees, but as soon as possible, you will start seeing them. A lot of people were really emotional about the beginning of construction. And of course, when you have construction, unfortunately, you have to cut the trees because you are digging underneath. So that didn't go well at the beginning, but we are working on it. And by the end of this construction season, I'm going to move on to the next slide here.
Well, I just have a question while you're over there. Is there going to be additional parking spaces in this new plan?
For this one, no, there would not be additional parking spaces. It's basically keeping the parking spaces as they are, but we're not eliminating any that existed before. And I have the timeline or the schedule here, and I don't know if the colors are clear. So I'm going to actually go over it. So if this orange color is part of phase one, it will be done this year. This is a segment I'm trying to actually highlight here. The one next to it, which is in blue, will be also done this year. The other one, which I don't know if you can see it, it's the green color, will be done this year. We are hopeful we can do a part of the section here, which is in red color this year. Other sections you're seeing will be done next year, along with more sections to be added next year as well. The goal is to get as much done as possible by the end of next year. This has been going on since 2017. And when it was planned, the budget did not match the actual needs. So we were short of more than 9.5 million. We are gradually applying, and the good news is we have been receiving lots of funding. We had funding now since last year of 9 million, which would be good for us based on today's estimates to finish the whole project as initially envisioned and designed. With that, I will go back to the previous slide in case you have any question about construction going on or anything that you have been hearing about from any of the people who live in downtown or business owners or any comments.
Well, I have
Commissioner,
yes.
Go ahead.
One question. I just wanted to know if are they going to be improving the infrastructure as well? Is that part of this?
You know what? That's a great question.
The sewer and water, the infrastructure?
I'll tell you what, initially when it was done and the budgeted, it was only for what we call a statescape, meaning sidewalks and beautification. However, because we started digging, as you know, you're in construction business, you find out more. So we are upgrading our street light infrastructure as well as our traffic signal. It's all becoming now fiber optics.
But
Yes,
our
we
big question is for downtown development is that we don't have the sewer and water that we need. Is that going to be taken care of or looked at, or is this part of the project or down the road or what? I mean, for us to keep approving applications, we want to know that the infrastructure can handle it. So now is the time. The big question of the hour is, what do we have planned for the future for infrastructure? It's all nice to have beautiful gardens and stuff, but if we don't have the facility and the ability to put the buildings down there and to accept them for water and sewer, where are we going with this?
Okay, this is a great question, and I had a different slide later on, but maybe I can touch upon it. You were in the meeting with a gentleman from the state, and I'm talking about David, you remember? I'm going to touch upon what happened in the meeting and what we are planning to do after. In terms of that project, which is the downtown one, it does not include sewer and or water pipes. It's mainly now sidewalks, fiber optics, and light pole infrastructure.
Thank you.
When I
Thank
say
you.
light pole, you will see if you go down on Main or any state, if you look up, and I know a lot of us don't do that, you will see that most of them are connected overhead, which is a very old way of doing it. We are actually going to have it all to be underground. In terms of what I meant by light, like traffic lights, we are actually putting the system for fiber optics. Believe it or not, most of the city, if not all of it, did not have fiber optics. It was based on the old system, which is outdated now. So we are trying, and the reason why, if you don't have fiber optics, your street lights are not synchronized, meaning that they don't talk to each other. That's something I don't know if you know about or not. That's why sometimes if you are driving, you have light, you feel that it takes forever, even though nobody's moving up front. It's because they are not connected to each other. We are actually doing this in downtown as part of our main state project or downtown project, which required us to actually be very resourceful in using our funding.
Yes, but I'm kind of.
Is anybody talking to me? I hear somebody talking to me. I heard
No.
somebody was asking a question. I didn't get it.
No, I think that was background. Yeah,
Okay, maybe okay. Sorry for that.
that's all right.
Any more question? Tom, do you have questions?
Nope. Tommy's good.
And
For now.
anyway, if you will go down the state tomorrow or so, you will like what you see. I hope it's going very well. And maybe Ted, at some point, you can actually have a walk with your dad.
Yeah.
I assure you, it's going to be ADA compliant, so it's going to be very easy.
Yep. I hope so.
So moving on, I would like to share this with you here. As you know, we always work on a lot of zoning amendment, and because of the nature of the city, we have the zoning commission and we have the planning commission. So sometimes the zoning commission will approve what I would call the zoning changes, but they don't see how this impacts the city, because a lot of the applications are done either approved by the planning commission or by administration. So I wanted to share some statistics with you here. And if you look here, you'll see what I'm talking about. Since the adoption of the new zoning regulations, the 10 different applications you see here are the ones that have been approved either by staff or by the planning commission. A lot of the application for site plan that doesn't need a special exception are approved administratively, meaning that staff will approve it. Any application that requires special exception needs to go to the planning commission and needs to have a public hearing. So I will pause here for a minute or so in case any of the application piques your interest and you would like to know more about it.
Well, Director, this is activity that came about after we made the new zoning regulation of the DTOD.
That's correct.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Except for one here, the one here that you see that has a C.
Yeah, I saw that one on Elm Street. Yeah. This is a new church under construction.
Yes.
A question on number 19, Bomforth and Holly. Is that Joe De Silva property? Because he owns that corner?
Yes, it is.
It is? Okay. He's got that vacant lot, plus he's got the corner lot, and that's where he wants to put these 19 units?
Yes, 19 units. All of them are one bedroom. I mentioned here. Yeah.
Okay. That would be a
Also-
good, that would be nice change for the corner.
Also on the corner of Moss Avenue and Osborne, there's a new building being built. I saw the other day as well. I think that was Joe's property too, no?
No, that's
Yes.
Gus's brother.
That's Augustine brother and somebody else.
So he's got that going up, right?
Yes.
Beautiful.
No, that's Gus. Gus's
It's
brother. They
Gus.
don't- Yeah.
Good.
I didn't want to actually share the names here because we are in a public meeting. I just want to just keep the address, but of course, everything is
Okay.
public. We can mention the names.
Right.
Those are the big ones here that we're talking about. And
thank
there are more discussions going on. Some of it, of course, as you understand, it takes a lot of time for discussion, reaching to a point where it's acceptable by the applicant as well as meets all the requirements of the city. So that takes time. What I have here is stuff that has already been approved or is being reviewed as we speak.
Looks good.
So that's really promising, and the city actually, maybe in 2 days or so, we might have on our website more statistics about what's going on.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any question about the numbers here or anything like that catches your attention?
Yeah, how about this? When do they expect to break ground on 34 Main?
You're talking about 30, okay. That's might take some time. Not because of the city, it's just because of the finance and the applicant need to secure all financing. From
Yeah.
our city point of view, the site plan was approved. It's a matter of when the applicant will submit the building permit itself.
So nothing's being held up on our end.
No, not by, no. We're still
Excellent.
waiting for the building permit.
The
Excellent.
planning commission just okayed it this past week, right? It was done on Tuesday night, or was
Yeah.
it? Okay.
That's great.
Excuse me, we haven't approved it yet. We're gonna approve it next week on the
Shortly.
3rd.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Joanne.
Sure.
Thanks. Thank you.
So I will move on here unless you have any question about the table that I have.
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
So something here, maybe Bob can chime in.
I don't remember this. I didn't give you permission to put this out. Like, you didn't get a sign off.
So we had a very productive meeting. The gentleman here in the middle, he is the executive director of the new agency. It was created last year, and it changes the name. So now the name is Municipal Development Authority, and they have a mandate to fund improvement to infrastructure for specific areas that meet the state requirements. Our downtown checks all the boxes, so they are good with that. And the municipality that is willing to do so will have to adopt a resolution. Our council is going to adopt the resolution to join the agency in the upcoming meeting, like in September. So now, not only do they actually fund municipalities, but they also offer funding to developers who are investing in areas that meet the criteria that they have in the state. In our case, it will be downtown. So we have the gentleman here. This was on August 12th. And we invited everybody. We sent emails, and you see the folks who were able to join us. We also have the video in case any one of you is interested to watch what happened and the dynamics of discussion. But having said that, I would like Bob to actually chime in because he was in attendance and to share with us what his perspective was about the whole agency.
Actually, it was a very interesting meeting, and he came in with a lot of information. Unfortunately or fortunately, it's going to be that we they won't have a commitment till like September, October, whether we've applied for the plan, the program, but then Waleed will know in October if we've been accepted. I asked the question if with the TOD that we have voted on as a zoning commission, whether we meet all the compliances that they're looking for. And he thought that everything was in alignment with what his agency was going to be looking for. I also asked the question because he said at that point that they had like 80 or 90 million dollars that they thought was going to be forthcoming, but that was going to be for infrastructure and for new production of affordable housing or standard housing, market rate housing. And I said to him, I said, well, that's great, but 80 million doesn't go very far when you start talking about even one infrastructure and something like Danbury. But he said that hopefully it's going to grow. And the other question that I asked, which I thought was very pertinent, was I wanted to know if the Commissioner of Economic Development and the Commissioner of Housing was part of this. And he said yes. So they're at the round table with them, which makes me feel a lot better that they have avenues to bring more money into this group, if you will. But what was more important, the head of the person you're looking at is Dan Bertram, then it's Joe Da Silva, Gary Michael, and myself. But what I thought was the most amusing about the meeting was that after the meeting, Gary, Joe, and Dan started talking, which is really good because these are guys that could do something along with myself about downtown development. But I thought it was very promising that they started talking about things. And so it was a good meeting. It was actually a really very good meeting.
Thanks, Bob. And the whole idea is we know development takes time. It's all about building coalition and capitalizing on the opportunities we have.
But
Now,
the key that really excited us is that they don't mind taking a mezzanine position. Does everyone know what a mezzanine position is for financing of the bigger projects? If anybody has the question, I'll explain it. But the fact is that they will do mezzanine financing, which they don't realize. They realize that they can work hand in hand with the local banks or whoever, whether it's Newtown or Union Savings or Ives, and they will take a second position or a mezzanine position to be able to work it out to make sure that the project goes through. And so that's really an advantage for one of the bigger producers.
And it's a huge, to my knowledge, and I actually talked to the gentleman here, David, a lot. It's one of the first time, if not the first time, where the state is offering finance for individuals, meaning developers, not just to municipalities. And in a nutshell, it's way less interest compared to going to a bank. That's the big advantage. And they don't tie it to affordable housing, they tie it to housing. So they don't require you to have affordable housing in order to qualify.
The other big question I asked them, which I think is really pertinent, is ask them if, because they were involved in a government agency, does it have to be a prevailing wage operation? And he said no. And I was really surprised, and that's a great thing because that would really change the metrics of how you put a project together.
Can't they also do hybrid and flexible and non-standard creative financing packages that standard banks can't do? Right?
Well, they basically would have to, because they don't have a big surplus of money there, they're going to have to be a secondary right now, because if you're going, any large project's going to be what, 5, 10, 15, 20 million dollars.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to put that much money into one project, but they will be able to cover the rough edges, or maybe be able to give you the financing for like the soft costs of the project just to get it off the ground. Or if you find that all of us, when we build, we always keep a reserve basically, and so that it's the mistakes or the problems or the cost overruns, so they could get involved with the reserve part of the construction. And so, but just being either helping in the front or the back is really where they'd like to be. And I said, do you have an issue with working with like Union Savings? I said, absolutely not. And we work with them, we know them, and they would have a working relationship. So basically they want to push us along. This gentleman did so much, and Waleed will say more than I can about it, but he really did a lot for Stanford and for Bridgeport to be able to get them off and running. So I had one question for him. I said, do you think that we have the ability to be like a Norwalk? I know we can't follow Stanford, but do you see us being a Norwalk in the future? And he said unequivocally, yes, which was good to hear. And he says,
Yep.
and the state wants to be behind this and help us. They see a lot of opportunity in Danbury. They
Yeah.
like the fact that we have the access to the highways. We have, he likes the government here. Everything's in alignment for them to want to do things with us.
Yeah.
And Waleed was great. Waleed had a great presentation. So everything worked out well. So now it's just a question of being accepted in the program and then taking the next step. And I'm sure there's going to be applications coming from that room.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
So this is a 4-step application. We finished step number 1, we were accepted. Stage number 2, we were accepted. Stage number 3, we were accepted. We are now at the final stage, which is enacting a resolution by the council and submitting it to the state. That's all what we are doing in September. And of course, nothing is guaranteed, but I can tell you 99.9%, we will be in. And this is a great opportunity. And going back or circling back to what you were talking about, Bob, earlier, about water and sewage, this is one of the main venues we as a city are looking at for funding improvement to water and sewage.
Great.
This is not the only one, but it's a very important one.
Oh, very.
Great. It's good stuff. Thank
So
you.
if you need any information about the organization, let me know. I have a lot of information about it. So I will be happy to share.
Thank you. Commission members, anything, questions at this time? No. Thank you, Director.
I would move on here. Speaking of what's going on, I would like to expand the discussion a little bit, not just to talk about Danbury. I would like to talk about the whole Fairfield County. And on the slide here, you will see what I'm talking about. This study was done, I believe, in 2020. It was done by Westcott. And if you look here, you will see they are projecting how the whole county will evolve between 2017 up to 2050. I don't know if you can see it, it's small, but here it is.
Yep.
So they did an assessment, and if you look here, I have a little bit of a bar graph. If you look at it, they were projecting that between 2017 to 2050, the whole county will add more than 115,000 people. Out of the 115,000, the projection was that 50% of 115 will be in Stamford. And again, we always talk about Stamford, which is in orange here. Norwalk, which is the one in gray, and Danbury, which is the one in yellow here. If we divide the 50% of the 115,000, you are talking about roughly what? I would say 57,000. If you divide it, but it doesn't have to be equal. You say that over 40% will be in Stamford, and the rest will be between Norwalk and us here in Danbury. You are talking about a minimum of 16 to 17,000 more by 2050 in Danbury. So, which will take the city to over 100,000. Again, these are official numbers. What I know is that the city has a little bit more now, that some of them are not in the census. So what does this mean? Where am I going with all of that? I'm saying that the city will actually, no matter what we do, the city is projected to actually continue to go. When we look at, okay, so how would we be able to accommodate it? So we look at another study that was done by Westcott. If you look at the colors here, you will see that most of the city, which is the yellowish/beige color, it has very limited capacity for new addition because either it's conservation area, it's wetland, it has water issues. So realistically speaking, in the future, the pink color is where the city will go, which is mostly is already built, but some of it is underutilized. To give you another example of what I mean, if you look at the two slides, you will see this is the infrastructure we have. On the left-hand side, we have the existing and proposed water. On the right-hand side, we have the sewer capacity, existing and projected. Again, you will see that intentionally, a lot of areas were left out because we cannot build in it because of different reasons. Some of it has to be protected, some of it water issues. So anytime we look at the future, we look at what we have. So what we are trying to do is when we have underutilized areas, to better utilize it. So
I have a question, and this is something that probably all us newbies would want to know, is that I've never been explained to who was WestCog and how important they are. And when you mentioned that you got a report from them, does it have any merit, any credence? What do they play in the role of what we do and what happens in Connecticut? And who are these people and how important are they?
Well, you want to go, Waleed, or?
Start off, but Ted, of course, can actually add to what I say. I'm going to say, here's a situation, and this is unique to Connecticut. You know, a lot of states have a county system. We have it here in name, which in Connecticut. I believe sometime in the 60s, they decided that Connecticut doesn't need to have counties. A county is a different layer of government above the local system. So if you look at it, most states will have city, county, and the state. In the 1960s, they decided not to have the counties with full power, but instead they decided to divide the state into what they call governance. There was WestCog, which WestCog, if I'm not mistaken, it stands for Western Connecticut Council of Governments, which means they advise the communities located in this area, but they don't have a power over what they are going to do. It's more like an advisory. It's not a must follow. Other states, like where I came from, the county will have power over cities or municipalities located in the county.
Are there any cases where we rely on their information or input, Keddy, that you know better than?
Yeah, we get referrals from them. Now, when we get a referral from the Planning Commission, it's it can actually change or influence the way we vote. Sometimes if they vote negative on something, we'll need a supermajority to overturn that, but we take them on a referral basis. WestCog will make referrals to us. Generally, it's only been recently since they've changed positions with the new person giving us the responses that they've been giving us real responses. Other than that, but that does not influence or change any of our voting stats.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. It is required by statute that the regional planning agency give you a report on all amendments and zone changes.
Right,
State statutes.
that doesn't
No,
influence
right.
our vote. Yeah.
It has no impact on your vote, but it is
Right.
required.
Yeah. So they submit, then there's now there's 5 cogs or 6. This WestCog, I think, is 17, and I think there's 5 of them in the state of Connecticut. Right? So they all operate, the local planning and zonings will all operate the same way we do by getting their state statute mandated referrals that again won't influence the vote, but would be useful information. If you think about it, there's things that we do, they call it a lot of times intermunicipal impact, because there's sometimes things that we do in Danbury that could affect outside of our boundary, and they're a group that oversees, like I said, 17 towns and cities in our area for the WestCog. Yes, that's a good way to put it, Director. A lot of states, New Jersey especially, have county forms of government that have much more influence than these little councils of governments have, but yet still mandated by the state under statute.
So, Bob, it's always good to collaborate, because not just because it's good to collaborate, The COGS, in our case, WestCOG, gets a lot of funding from the states to do studies that we as a city will not be able to get. And when they do the studies, they actually they hire consultants as well, and they allow us, meaning any municipality, to be part of the team. So you always have a say in what they're doing.
Do they
And
have
also-
do they have resources that give us information from the state level that we might not know on a local level?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? A lot of my ability to get in touch with some folks in Hartford, it happened because good relation between us and WestCOG.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
I think it's also safe to say that they're they're totally nonpartisan, in my opinion, and which is very, very refreshing to see. That their opinion comes from real fact as it relates to, for example, the ecology, conservation, wetlands, things like that. They play a major role in that, but they are available. They have funding to do studies that we couldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, and they're always available to us, or any of the municipalities for their opinion and their research and their reports and things like that. They also play a role in, God, I don't know if I really should call it lobbying up in Hartford, but they have a voice up in Hartford, a huge voice up in Hartford, on our behalf and on all of the municipality's behalf. So it's a great operation. All I wanted to do was just to get across the point that their referrals don't change our voting structure, but they are very useful.
Thank you.
Anything else at this time, commission members? Okay, Director.
Thank you. I will move on here. So part of actually going back to WestCOG, so in 2021, they completed a study for, I don't know if you can see the slide here. So they did Highway 37. They did a whole study, and I'm actually pointing at it here. They divided Highway 37 into, I would say, 1, 2, 3 different segments. And they were talking about the need to make it more multimodal, improvement to the highway, and how this would benefit the city. One of the ideas they were talking about, which came out in the study, if you are interested, send me an email. I will send you the study. I don't know if you can see the slide on the right-hand side. They were talking about having 10 feet multi-use paths along some section of 37. As you know, a lot of the section of 37, we call it here in the city, Badanam Road. So they were talking about that kind of improvement. And of course, funding, they don't actually tell you where to find funding, but if we are considering it, we can apply at least for some section to funding for WestCOG. So because the study was done by them, then it will meet all the criteria of WestCOG, and the likelihood of getting funding from WestCOG would be high. So where am I going with this? So when I was looking at this, when I knew about it, and I knew that we had success in downtown, and we need to look in an innovative way about how to make the most out of some sections we have in the city, this is what I started working on. Sorry, if you see the pinkish / red color here, it's about 271 acres. It starts from the intersection of Main and North all the way to the north side of Badanam, closer to before the lake. And we're talking about lots fronting on the main estates. This could be reinvented as a mixed-use corridor. It's already mixed use in a way. It has different zones all along, but we're talking about low-scale mixed use, maximum 4 stories, also a commercial on the main floor, or having the 2 uses on the same lot. This is how I'm actually envisioning it, and I'm working on the concept and the design for the corridor. But just I wanted to explain where it came from. This is a great opportunity for the city at some point to basically build on the success of downtown and allow for more opportunities. Again, the reason why we're talking about only fronting on the main corridor so that we don't have an impact on the neighborhoods to the east or west. And this will be the most meaningful way to do it. I'm working on it. At some point, I will share what I have with you, but I wanted to give you guys heads up. This is basically what I'm working on. I had a couple of meetings between myself and DOT about some improvement to the ONAM close to where the Starbucks is, where I'm pointing here. If you are familiar with what I'm talking about, there's no entrance or what we call ONAM to I-84 going west. However, on the south side, there's one going east. So we have a discussion about how to plan for ONAM on I-84 going west in this section. That's part of the discussion. I am working on an really extensive design standards for how buildings should look like along the corridor.
Director,
Yeah.
1
Yeah.
second. Let me just throw out there to some of the just a couple points that might make some sense so everybody can get their bearings straight here. Taking a look, commission members, on the left-hand side, the left third of the screen, the line that's basically the worm that's broken up into 3 segments. The top portion of that, where it says 39, that's where 37 and 39 meet at the 4 corners in New Fairfield, right by the post office, or that little shopping center that contains the Goody Shop and the New Fairfield Food Center. Comes all the way down Peyton Aram Road, out past where that reservoir is, out down past the prison, and it's going to stop somewhere around where Starbucks is by the North Street Shopping Center, a little bit past the North Street Shopping Center, just as you kiss 84 crossing it.
Right.
So that whole strip there is going to have a 10-foot, approximately 10-foot multi-use path. And that's what they've been working on for a few years. And that map was shown in the other one, the other slide that had all the new TOD zone on it that we had, that the director just shown. This one. So you can see all the way up at the top left-hand side, underneath the D under TOD, that's the 4 corners in New Fairfield. All right. And then that comes all the way down past, you can see the prison property, that big chunk land over there, and coming all the way down to where the Starbucks is on North Street, when you just leave Peyton Aram out onto North Street. Everybody knows that area, right? Thank you, Director.
Thanks. So it's a great idea. If it will be a great addition to the city, and again, very low impact on any neighboring property, because the condition is it has to be fronting, as you see, on the main corridor, so there wouldn't be infiltration of traffic into existing neighborhoods.
Commissioner O'Neill, question, comment?
So I just wondered, I heard you say about putting in the on-ramp in the other direction. Do you think that's possible? Like,
Actually, I had a meeting this morning in person. I asked for an in-person one because what we had, as you understand, mostly like, virtual. So I had 6 engineers from DOT coming this morning. We talked about it. They are going to evaluate the possibility of it from an engineering point of view. The only caveat or catch is because if you visualize, and I don't have a picture of Starbucks, fortunately, the state owns all the land close to Starbucks. So yes, they can have an on-ramp. The issue, it will be very sharp angle going out. Like if you are actually making a left turn, against anything that could be considered a hazard, because people have their own ways of driving. You want to make it as safe as possible. So the idea is, if it's to be done, could it be done in a safe way that meets the minimum angle requirement of the state? But at least they didn't shut the door. They were listening. That was great. A lot of times, you have an idea and from the get-go, oh, no, it's not going to work. That's not the attitude,
Yeah, I'm excited to hear that that's something that might be on the table that's being contemplated, because that would be really nice.
That was briefly talked about 10 years ago. There's an issue though with the sharpness of the entrance ramp and the elevation getting
Yes.
up there. But if you can picture, if it was a perfect scenario to allow that, all of that traffic would that drives now down North Street, takes a right on Madison Avenue, takes a left over there to get onto where Ridge is to get onto 84. That would all be eliminated. Everything from New Fairfield that has to get to 84. Well, they sometimes cut down on Golden Hill.
Right.
But you got the whole Great Plain Road area that travels that has to take that. They would be able to get onto 84 in that direction. That'd be unbelievable, really.
So,
I had a thought,
Big
Waleed, that I just wanted to say because I've been thinking about this for many years, because I have to go through all that. But one thought, well, two things come up, right? That it's that the access might be a steep incline, but the other condition is that they feel it's so close to exit 5 that the people coming off the highway, it's going to be intersecting. My thought is either you do a loop and then you do a little bit of a highway going over an overpass that's going over exit 5 to bring them farther in so they're past exit 5 when they're actually coming from 4 to jump over that because it's not that far to be able to put an access way to go across a way. And yes, it might cost some bucks, but think about what it's going to do for Danbury to be able, and it'll be safely done at that point because you're going over. There's no more condition, and they own that ravine, so they
Yeah.
basically have that area there that they could go along 84 to be able to come on after exit 5 and be able to have a safe entrance into the highway.
The other thing they talked about 10, 15, 20 years ago was coming in from the other direction, all the traffic that comes off the exit now in front of Starbucks that takes a right. Clearly all that traffic, the majority of it is going up toward New Fairfield, but a lot of it is going and taking a right. So there was a discussion of coming off of the highway, having a sharp exit before the other exit where the old Department of Motor Vehicles is. And then that would take all of that traffic there and bring that into the Candlewood, Great Plain Road, St. Gregory area, without having to go all the way down just several thousand feet further. So there was a lot of talk, like I said, maybe even 20 years ago about that. There's some good ideas out there.
speaking of the
Yeah.
talk, I don't want to deviate from the discussion, but just letting you know that the state, unrelated to what we're talking about, are gonna look at flex lane in the city. By flex lane, mean dynamic lane. For now, for the next 3 years, they will be focusing on I-84 to use the shoulders closer to the concave barrier during busy time or peak times as a lane. I don't know if you heard about this or not. They have been actually putting it on social media and they had meetings about it. It's a new concept. It's called, sometimes if you Google it, they call it flex lane or dynamic lane, meaning the shoulder that is not used can be used during peak hours only. And there will be signs and the likes. So they are looking, the point that I'm trying to say is the state is engaged with the city and other agencies to look at short-term, medium-term, and long-term solution for the issues.
Interesting.
My goal is, and my hope too, is to put what we were talking about at the new ONAM to be within the medium range kind of planning, not the long term.
Commissioner O'Neill.
I was gonna ask about because everyone complains about 84 being so bottlenecked in Danbury, but I know that would be like a state thing, so I'm really glad that you mentioned that people are talking about that, because it is a problem in several areas. And I feel like it was back in the early 90s when they widened the highway, and it's like still too crowded. It's just crazy.
You know what?
Yeah.
At some point, they acknowledge they will have to widen it, but this is not going to happen as short term or medium term.
Right.
I just want to interject something because we're all running for office again, and all of
Okay.
us are going to hear out there that there's a problem with traffic, but they can't blame Danbury, okay? It's not all our fault, okay? It is a regional problem. And so when one of those electors out there want to say, well, your zoning commission is not doing a good job because you're growing, Well, a city that's not growing is dying. That's number one. But number two is that, fight back and say, no, it's a regional problem. It's go there on a Sunday afternoon. It has nothing to do with downtown Danbury. It's people coming through New York, going to Hartford or whatever. But it's a state problem more so than a Danbury problem. Just don't forget that, and don't let them suck you in and say, no, your zoning commission is just letting it open this door and now it's a floodgate and it's all causing problems. That's not the case. So just please remember that.
Let's just blame it on Bridgewater.
Whatever, but it's like it's not just our problem, it's everybody. It's a regional problem.
Commissioner DJ.
Yes. Yes,
Go ahead.
Waleed, question. In
Sure.
regard, going back to the path, my understanding is it's a 10-foot buffer path that is going to go all the way up 39 or 37,
37.
all the way up to New Fairfield.
In a lot of section, it doesn't have to be all the way. Again, this is a study that was done. When you start actually looking at the work to be done, there's always difference between the study and the implementation. But this is part of the vision, the overall vision.
And the reason why I'm asking that is that road is already too narrow as it is, and the commercial operations or commercial property owners have are very up close to the road. It's going to be I think it'd be very difficult to get any type of path with a 7-foot landscape buffer and then
No,
the path.
Commissioner Ejim, it's on the opposite side. It's on the side where the reservoir is. Where you see, if you drive up 37 North, you got the fence all along the reservoir. It's going to be on the other side of the fence. It's going to be between the fence and the reservoir.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not going to be down near the commercial buildings that are, where Barbie's is and that area.
Yeah, along the commercial areas, we're talking mainly about missing sidewalks and actually, or to do something that allows more for pedestrians, but it wouldn't be to the scale you see here on the slide.
Okay. Very good.
Do you think that maybe we'd be better served with having 2 lanes in each direction versus I don't know how many people be using that, since it doesn't come from a park. It's in the middle of nowhere. It sounds great, but I think for utility, I'm thinking if you could do 2 lanes on each side coming down, it would be able to move a lot more traffic and you wouldn't have traffic bind up, and it'd be safer for everyone with a sidewalk versus a big path. Is any consideration for that worthwhile?
Well, this 10-foot path is going to turn. This 10-foot path from New Fairfield will eventually narrow itself down to sidewalks.
But who's going to use it, and what will be the purpose? I'm saying we want to be better to make 2 lanes there versus coming down.
I don't know. There's a whole group that's in favor of it. As far as I'm concerned, let's say I'm not going to take the position whether I'm in favor or I'm not in favor of it, but I don't envision it being used much at all.
Right. Yeah. It's in the middle of
So
nowhere.
it's none of my business. I can't see people on bikes, and I mean, there'll be people taking short walks and short distances that would be safe. And because there's going to be entrance and access points from to get on that other side of the fence, for example, where the reservoir is. There'll be ways, and plus emergency vehicles. There's going to have to be a spot off Peck Road down where the water filtration plant is. There's going to be an emergency access in case, God forbid, there's an accident on a trail somewhere down the road. So there's going to have to be 3 or 4 emergency accesses. But there's going to be people taking nice short walks to get from here to there, and without having to take a car on Route 37. People could take a walk from northern Danbury up to New Fairfield on this path, right? It'd be nice, really. But I don't see large groups of people
it's
doing
good
it.
it's on the west side. That's the better side to be on, is the west side. So I agree with that. Okay.
So,
Correct, am I
Bob,
correct, Director?
yeah, you know what? It's all great idea. All what I'm saying, this was a study that was done based on feedback from people. realistically speaking, we don't have the funding for all of this. So if I am say we apply for funding and we get some, we will focus on areas that are most used.
Yeah, perfect. Anything else, commission members? Thank you. Director, continue if you would. Thank you.
Any question about the concept I'm sharing with you? Again, you will be more engaged. I just want to share with you what's going on. There have been a lot of internal discussion about capacity, state level, WestCog.
Just, when you talk about proposed mixed use, you're talking basically it's going to be commercial residential or will be office, but what will be that mixed use?
It will allow for excluding industrial uses. You can imagine that we are looking at any other use between residential.
So it could be medical, it could be office.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, sometimes we overanalyze the difference between different uses. A lot of times, if something doesn't produce any odor or noise or any of that type of stuff, it actually fits into the mixed use category. I
think keeping it generic is good, that you can find different uses, and that's good. They'll definitely help the situation. So that's good.
Well, let me just point something out, Commissioner Batella. I don't want to step on your toes, but you're not, where it says proposed mixed use corridor, you're not under the assumption that that large piece of land is proposed mixed use. He's talking about that little corridor in orange is the proposed mixed use corridor.
Right.
Okay, because the wording is on top of that vacant piece of land.
No.
Okay. Good. All right.
I tried to put the wording on top. It didn't.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that.
No, I think you have a lot of properties along that route that are just stale, and because they want to do something, but they can't. So this would give the opportunity to get some activity along that border. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. And for sure, if you have any questions, let me know. We are still working on it, but it would be a very beneficial project for the whole city. It will ensure that it's not just downtown. There will be another area. And by the way, sorry, I will go back. If this is adopted, this also can qualify to fall under the new agency that I just talked about. And I already am in discussion between myself and the new agency. What we're trying to do is to meet all the requirements. So if this is adopted, be it the city or developer can apply for funding from the same agency because it meets all the requirements of this agency. So it will be really a great project, not just a good one, because not only would it allow for more mixed use, more meaningful and impactful development, it will allow for a closer relationship between us and the new agency. And by the way, we are hoping to be one of the first 5 to join the agency officially.
Excellent. Wow, that's great. That's good stuff.
I will just move on here unless you have any question from anyone.
Nope, I think we're good. Thank you.
You know what? Bob stole my thunder when he talked about medical office because I have a little bit of discussion here about medical officers.
All right.
I will explain why, but I will pause here for a minute. I would like you to read the definition. The definition is from copy and paste from our zoning regulation. Okay, here's the situation. I will tell you what's going on. So medical office for us, in terms of our regulation, includes medical doctor, dentist, chiropractor, physical therapy, even psychological classes if somebody needs counseling. All of it falls under the umbrella of medical offices. We don't have a lot of distinction between the different uses. So what is the issue? There's no issue, but we have some interesting regulation. I will explain to you what I'm talking about. So I have 5 different zoning districts, all of which, except for light commercial, have medical offices as special exception. Interestingly enough, light commercial, which is basically commercial areas within neighborhoods, have it as a permitted use. This actually makes it very difficult. If I'm talking about a residential area, usually a medical office, yeah, it makes sense. There might be a lot of people coming in and out. Maybe it makes sense to have it as a special exception. But to have it as a special exception in arterial commercial or general commercial or even RO is not really something that makes a lot of sense. Why would you make a medical office difficult to have, even though you are talking about commercial areas?
Wasn't that what we just went through in the last zoning commission hearing about the RO, which we felt was
Yes.
very important to be able to bring those people on board? And I feel good about that decision. I really
Yes.
do.
So the question is, why are we making medical offices or dentists that difficult? Why is it not permitted, even though it is permitted in light commercial? So what I'm looking at now, I'm not talking about the high residential. I'm talking about a project to change the zoning so medical office is in arterial commercial, general commercial, and residential office, which we don't have much of, is a permitted use. Basically, why are we making it cumbersome for some kind? Again, we're talking about medical office. We're not talking about inpatient. We're talking about outpatient. So nobody is staying
Right.
there.
Right.
So I have been talking to a lot of doctors in town. Every time they need to do anything, because special exception, you have to go back. And I have been talking to a lot and I hear what they're saying. And I also looked at other communities, how they deal with medical offices. It's permitted use. It's part, and we even have it as a permitted use in the light commercial. So it's kind of interesting. General arterial commercial are more heavy commercial, so we don't have it as permitted, but in the light commercial, we have it as permitted. So what I'm looking at is a project to actually streamline the process for medical offices by making them permitted uses in general commercial, at least, and arterial commercial. And I looked at even the newest one in some of our neighboring communities. They changes the regulation in the last couple of years, some of them 5 years ago, to make medical offices as permitted uses, which makes a lot of sense. It is, of course, we care about all businesses, all activities, but if there's one that needs more attention, I would say medical offices.
Yes.
We all need it.
Director, it seems like a million years ago when Union Carbide came into Danbury, it was big. It was huge for Danbury, not because Union Carbide was coming here, but because dozens and dozens and dozens historically of satellite businesses that do business with Union Carbide flock to the area to be close to them.
Oh, I see.
So 50 years ago, nobody envisioned the Danbury Hospital being what it is today and Germantown Road being what it is today. It made sense as a special exception, I suppose, that long ago. But today, you're right. We're making these medical practices jump through hoops just to expand or to even make a simple change under the special exception procedure. So I think I don't know about anybody else's opinion. I think you're right on target with this here. Makes a lot of sense.
But can I ask a question? Are you thinking about the walk-in clinics also for as far as medical?
We can make it based on how the size. We can say basically, if it's less than 5,000 square feet, we don't have to distinguish. Then it's a permitted use.
Okay, and how about clinics?
It depends if it's actually outpatient or inpatient.
Okay, so these are things we'll be talking about if this becomes an issue to talk
Again,
about.
everything I'm talking about is outpatient. There's no one who stays overnight. That would be a totally different category.
Okay.
Yes, I think it has to be that way. I agree.
This is the discussion I have had with a lot of doctors.
Yeah. Interesting. Makes a lot of sense, I think.
I know sometimes when you talk to people in the field, you gain better understanding. It's not just about what you have in mind, is when you actually start listening, and discussing it, you get to know more.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good direction to go in, Waleed.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
Any
Absolutely.
comments about this one?
No, I think we're good on this.
Good. I'll move on. Another one I really like here. Well, this is a euphemism for saying I'm not really a fan of this, what I'm gonna be. So I'm sure you know the building here to the left-hand side. Did anybody miss it before? It's on Mill Plain, very close to where Carluzzi is.
Right.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay, so here's the situation we have. We have self-storage. We call it in our zoning regulation, self-serve storage, which is basically a self-storage facility. Usually, these are meant for industrial areas, not along the main commercial corridor. If you ask me about the main commercial corridors in town, I would say it's between Mill Plain and Badanam, and of course, sometimes you can add Federal Way, but Federal Way is not. Of course, you can add Newtown, but I would say this is one of the main ones. We have in our, which is arterial commercial, which is a big corridor we have. In our zoning regulation, we have self-storage as a special exception. Here's what happened. You see this building here? Next to it, exactly next to it, within 0.1 mile or 1.2 mile, there's another one. So
Where's that?
no, this one, this is actually a different one.
Okay.
Okay, I will explain why I have it.
Yeah.
So there's this one here, there's 0.2 miles more to the west, there's another self-storage. Professionally speaking, self-storage is not meant to be along the main arterial corridor because it's not a business that allows for more interaction. It doesn't even actually allow for lots of creation of jobs. Mostly, it looks like a wall. So look at the actual other picture on the right-hand side. This is from another community. Even if they allow self-storage along main corridor, they have very clear design standards to make it look more inviting, if I may say. We have neither. We allow it, but we don't have any standards. So it ends up looking more like a wall, similar to what you see here. So what I'm looking at here is a potential project. Here's the issue. If you make it not permitted in the zone, the existing ones will be non-conforming, which is an issue. We have many self-storage along CA80 corridors. What I'm looking at is to have design guidelines, at least, to make sure that if it is built, it will be up to a standard similar to what you see in the right-hand side. Which is, you see, it's more windows, it's more inviting, more appealing. It's not a wall along one of your main arterial corridor. Ideally, it should be, if you ask me professionally, it should not be permitted to have new self-storage along the frontage of CA80. But I'm looking at two options. I didn't actually land on one yet, but I'm sharing with you what I have in mind.
Well, Waleed, I'm looking at this, and that's a perfect example where it's not the highest and best use of that property. That is a very, very worthy piece of property on Mill Plain, and it's ruined. Now, my next question is it time to put a moratorium on self-storage places? Because I think there's a saturation rate. That it's overbuilt between here and Brookfield and now into Richfield and now over in near the Bethel line. They're having fights because they can't get them filled. You have more buildings than you have occupants. So it's a problem. Is there a time that we should say, wait a minute, we have enough self-service now, let's put a moratorium on it? Is it possible?
Okay. Are you talking about 100% self-storage?
Yes.
What if we are talking about projects that will have only a percentage that is self-storage?
I don't know if you're splitting hairs or what, but I mean, I'm just saying, what is the highest and best use of these properties that they are consuming that could be used for either IL-40 or something more constructive for our community than this, where what are you getting out of it? How much you get in revenue from a building like that for even on the for the taxes?
I don't have the
What-
exact, but from talking to our economic advisor to the mayor, he shares the same view in general, that, you know what, it's not the highest and best use of,
So it's
especially,
not it's not helping the grand list, it's not helping the commercial list, it's just what is it doing? That's my questions.
you know, I shared with you what I know. This was actually built a while back. From my perspective, from my professional experience, you don't want to have self-storage along one of your main corridors. First of all, it doesn't allow for what the type of business you would like to have. Also, because the nature of it, it's mostly empty like this, it doesn't send a good signal for anyone who's actually driving by that this is actually a place of happening.
So should we start talking about restricting zones where this is a permitted use?
That's what actually, that's why I was actually discussing it with you. If we are to kind of, in my view at least, to look at the arterial commercial and say, hey, maybe we will change the zoning regulation so it's not permitted anymore.
This is like a situation that they had down on Main Street where everybody was building a church, and all of a sudden we had churches that were going in storefronts, and they become non-producing properties. And I remember Sharon at one point said, "Okay, enough. We're not going to have any more churches along Main Street." Remember, Teddy? You remember that, right?
Yes, I
So
do.
and this is the same thing. Now we have the same issue going with these self-storage places that it's out of control. They're not really helping the community. They're not helping the grand list. What are they doing?
So your view, Bob, is if we are to work on a new amendment, that you will be in favor of not permitting self-storage in CA80 zones, period.
I
Am I
agree.
correct? Or
I agree.
what about others? You don't have to commit to any answer. Do you see this as something that could be looked at?
I would like to see the streets that you're talking about. They're in these zones. So once again, let's make sure that we are offering this land to the highest and best use. Keeping in mind that there's some applications in there we still are missing. Like we need to save our industrial IL-40 for the guys that are the electricians, the plumbers, not for these guys building these empty buildings. Right or
So
wrong?
I think for starters, the CA80 is very simple. It's CA80 is one road basically in Danbury, right?
Yes.
And for us to just see a petition from the director removing self-storage from CA80 zone, that's one subject right there that we probably should see shortly. All right. That's simple. The other complicated discussion is looking at where they are in other zones and seeing if we should restrict that there as well, which would then be the other two that are on your list here. It's kind of hard to say that you can't put self-storage in the light industrial zone piece of property or general industrial, but because it's more of an industrial than it is commercial anyway, in my opinion. But it wouldn't, I wouldn't cry over it if all of a sudden Danbury turned around and saw that there was a moratorium on storage facilities. Now, let the record show that the property on the left, I happen to be renting a 20 by 10 space for $438 a month, and I'm absolutely choking, and I'm choking on it because they don't sign a lease and they raise the rent every 90 days. Which is horrible.
So you should have a protest sign out in front.
I hate those people, but I need, I sold my house and I need to put something in temporary storage. The other thing that is not our control, Commissioner Botello, is that piece of land was for sale for like 14 years and nobody bought it. And the seller, if he was between a rock and a hard place, or even if he was well off but wanted to dispose of that asset, was going to find anybody that would come along with a use that was allowed in CA80, and he was going to sell it to him, and that's what happened.
I'm really surprised that because it's a good sized piece of property that it wasn't brought in for commercial use.
Yeah, it was just for sale forever and ever and ever.
Well,
Maybe
it
he
could
had
have been
ridiculous
it could have been a
prices on it.
crazy price too. I don't know what the
Yeah,
history is.
maybe he had a ridiculous price on it. I don't know.
This is
But
not
there's
the
no-
only one. There's another one actually about 0.2 miles down to
Yeah.
this.
Then there's one. Then there's one down by the medical marijuana facility, a little small one tucked in the back
Oh,
there.
okay. No, which one is the smaller one? Okay, I
Yep.
know.
I used to rent there about 20 years ago. And then
Okay.
then you go up on old Ridgeberry Road, and then you got Joey Putnam's old piece that Prime bought up on Old Ridgeberry Road. So I mean, there's plenty of them. They're all over the place. And then
Teddy,
there's
Teddy, it's time to buy a piece of property and build your own.
I'm
You've been
looking, I'm
so-
looking right now. I'm looking to put an addition here right now. You're right, exactly. But there's going to be one coming up on Sandpit Road too.
He can't even get affordable to be able to demo the here. That he's in a jam because he's gone out 6 times for demo prices, and so there's another one that could possibly go up. But
Yeah,
it's
another one
sold
that
for
could
that.
possibly go up.
Now, why would that be a great place for medical right there, right near the hospital and everything else? You know,
Yeah.
somebody like the Hawleys or the other people from Brookfield that have done medical. That'd have been great area.
The crazy thing about it is if you calculate what I'm paying on a square foot basis for a walk-in closet, and you multiply that by the entire footprint of this storage facility times 3 floors, those numbers are astronomical that you don't get a return like that anywhere. Anywhere. The chocular numbers are so high. So for the people that own those facilities, they're making a fortune. That's why they keep putting them in.
Maybe we should tax them on their ability to make money. It's like, how much are you making on this? And
Well,
that's what your tax is going to make.
We can't do that, but we have the right to say no more.
Right.
That's what we
Exactly.
can do.
That's where we're at.
I think we're well past that we have enough in the area for now.
Yeah.
We should just say curtail it and say it's the best and highest use for us to be going with other applications.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
See that there might be appetite for making changes to the CAAT.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something I can plan for.
I would like to do that, but I also want us to seriously look at the IL-40 because we know for a fact that we don't have enough or in short supply, and I don't want to see it go into those type of buildings when it should be going to little contractors. And I think Tommy and EJ will concur that
Yeah.
we need more important. It's more important.
Absolutely, Bob.
Yeah, and we could be right on the razor's edge at any point in time of looking at a proposed drastic change to Commerce Park. So we might want to give this some thought here too.
Okay, well, it's looking at all the parameters, but we should head in that direction anyways. I agree.
From what I understand, Commerce Park, all those buildings are all owned by one person or the estate of one person who has at any point in time had the ability to sell them off individually or to do further development. And that would impact Danbury greatly, in my opinion. So,
And that's all IL-40, Commerce Park?
Commerce Park is IL-40, right? It's not IG-80, Waleed?
If I'm not mistaken, it's IL-40, but they have to double.
IG-80 is over by Old Sherman Turnpike and Payne Road, that area. This is all IL-40, yeah.
Well, then we have to be careful of what could possibly happen down the road. So that's something to consider too. So putting limitations on it is definitely important.
Yep, to protect real industrial uses. Exactly.
Right, exactly.
Real industrial use. Yep.
Well, it's going to be our economic base. We need the people to support all the other ventures that we have going on.
Yeah.
You need these guys. You need the Tommy Kneejames of the world.
Everybody needs a Tommy Kneejame.
You said it.
I mean, it's very quiet. He's just, shaking his head.
I'm learning, Waleed.
We are all learning, Tom. This is what life is about.
Yep. All right, let's go on.
Anything else any question about this one? No? Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome, guys. So I'm going to go over this and Ted can chime in at any point to help me out, explain what I'm actually trying to say here. So I know you in the zoning commission do not see this because this usually either is done by staff or by the planning commission. I will try to explain what's going on. A lot of the applications that come in, we have something that in our zoning regulation, we call it multiplier usually it's referred to as generator table, meaning if you have a specific use, you have to say, well, how many vehicular tabs are generated by X number of square feet. And you multiply this on a daily basis. And if the number of tabs exceeds 500 a day, then as an applicant, you have to submit a study to analyze the traffic pattern or any improvements. What is happening here is the table we have, nobody knows where it came from. I will give you an example. So it assumed in the table that for business, I don't know if you can see the hand here, you have to you generate 12 tabs for each 1,000 square feet. Hotel, you generate 10 tabs for each bed. It doesn't make a lot of sense on a daily basis. The numbers are really higher than any standard. So I'm looking at potentially getting rid of the whole table and actually having a clause about consult or refer to the American Traffic Engineer Manual. What we have here does not actually align with any standard anywhere. Nobody knows, and I asked around everybody that I could actually think he had an idea about where the numbers came from. Nobody knows. So for example, if you look at the hospital, it assumes that for each bed, there will be 12 vehicular tabs daily. So the numbers are really exaggerated. And maybe that made sense like 40 years ago or 50, who knows where it came from. Nowadays, it's not inconsistent with any standards. It's more like somebody's intuition or way of looking at things. It's not justifiable from an engineering point of view. So I'm looking at potentially, well, why even bother? Why do we need to really reinvent the wheel? Everything is in the American Traffic Engineer Manual. We can just have a clause saying basically refer to the latest edition of the American Traffic Engineering Manual. They call it ITE. Ted, you will have more history. Maybe you can actually help enlighten me about where the
So let me tell you how I live my life not wanting to know about technology like my nieces and nephews know about it, because I'm really happy. I'm happy that there's a lot of stuff that I don't know, and it's by choice. The trip multiplier table is also one of those things because I despise it. Because every time we have a report or a presentation, they use the manual anyway, the American manual anyway. It's part of every single presentation. Okay? With that being said, I never understood this table because, and I didn't want to get involved in it. It was just in black and white, and I took it for what it was in black and white. But it really doesn't make much sense in a lot of areas. I don't know how it was created. I don't know how old it is. I don't know how much of it applies. But it never really mattered that much on our end. I mean, it was always at planning and always at the staff. So it never really got to us. When it got to us, we basically heard the presentations and they submitted their report along with our regulation. And then we made our determination after that. But a lot of it doesn't make sense. So to try and update this or recreate it is a major, major undertaking. So to simply say, hey, you know what? Let's make believe it doesn't exist and just use the American standard manual might just be the answer. I don't know. Make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
It's just the whole point is, I cannot tell you how many people I reached it out to. Nobody had an idea.
Yeah, it's just the craziest thing I've ever seen.
And I talked to even some engineers, I mean, consultants who actually deal with the city. Like, hey guys, do you know where this comes from? Nobody had an idea. Yeah. Does it make any sense? Absolutely not.
And it puts everybody, almost everybody in a position where they got to take a hammer and pound a round peg into a square hole. Everything has got to get, all the applications have to get shoehorned. And sometimes when they have to shoehorn something to meet our regulation, you get a lousy design, or you get a lousy plan, or you don't get its highest and best use. That's my opinion.
Okay. Jennifer, you are very quiet. I didn't hear you lately. So anything to weigh in on?
No, I agree with what we're hearing. It's Teddy had it right. I agree.
Yeah. So any comments from anyone? Just the way I was looking at it, basically what you were talking about, Ted. Why even do the work? Just mention that it has to follow or be consistent with the American Traffic Engineering Association manual. That's it.
Yeah, and they do their own, they spend millions of dollars on their updates and their studies, right? So we could ride that coattail.
We say we didn't have to say which year, we say the latest edition of the ITE.
Exactly. Commissioner O'Neill.
I just want to say, I agree that this is like a totally overcomplicated system and we should update that at some point.
By the way, this is not just one table, many pages. I just had a screenshot of one.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. You know, hotel, motel, 10 trips per bed. I mean, who came up with that?
I don't know.
Really, right? I don't know.
Probably a hooker.
Yeah, no, then it would have been 30. If they're good. Anyway, all right, let's go on.
Okay, I'm gonna move on here. So I have just some updates from you from a legislative point of view. So the public act that I have here, which is 2533, was enacted lately. Some of the new requirement would not apply to us. Some of it is related to communities such as Norwalk or Stamford that are overlooking a sea, or some other locations in East Connecticut. So I'm not going to touch on the stuff that is not going to impact us. In terms of what might impact us, it's as follows. The requirement for climate change assessment. At some point, we need to do it. The dates have not been published yet, but we will have to do it at some point. And when we do the assessment, we have to make sure that our existing mainly POCD is consistent with whatever the assessment might actually tell us to do. That's number one, that might impact us. We also, at some point, we need to have a recommendation for ideal density in different locations in the city. For us, that will be something we will look at once it becomes, we know the dates. We also have to look at if there are any inconsistency between our plan, our POCD, and any management principle for how to manage growth. I think we are good because we already have the TOD zone. We are working on a new one. Our TOD sub actually allows for reducing VMT. VMT here means vehicles mile traveled. Once you have basic like areas like TOD, we have more density. We actually ask for less parking, and this all meets the requirement of reducing the miles that each one living in the community will drive. We also, our existing regulations, I'm talking about the downtown as well as the one I talked about along Badanaar, the corridor. Not only does it promote housing, it allows more housing choices. So we are good in terms of number 1, 2, and 3. What we will be looking at some point is what I'm highlighting here, basically looking at ideal density for different sections in the city. Also, the new act, the public act I just mentioned, it does not require, however, it does allow, if the city chooses to do something they call transfer of development rights. What does this mean? The city will have to have new ordinance saying, hey, for example, you might not build to your full capacity in this area, whatever you didn't do, like say you were allowed to have 100 units in one area and you built 20, you can have 80 units in a different area in the city. It's not a requirement, it's a choice that the state is giving to different municipalities. And they call it transfer of development rights. I don't see our city being interested in such a concept. But I'm
Yeah,
just,
thank you. Thank you for that. I don't either.
just in case somebody mentions it, comes across, it's not mandatory. It's more like, you know what? If it works for you guys in one community, you can use it.
Yeah. Agreed.
And basically, since we are not, at least the way I see it, interested in this possibility, which is the transfer of development rights, I'm not going to dwell too much in it, and I'm going to move on.
Okay.
So one thing that we can look at, and it's not mandatory, but the new public acts allow different communities to have what they call resiliency improvement districts. Have you ever heard about a different terminology, which is tax increment financing? Did anybody hear about tax increment financing before?
What does it relate to?
So basically, the resiliency improvement district is very similar to tax increment financing. Tax increment financing meaning, hey, you have an area that is not doing very well. The city will invest in it, will do a lot of it, but all the increase in taxes will be funded back to the city to cover for what the city paid for.
So you're working with the private landowners? Say, I don't quite follow that. Okay, so the city gets involved as a partnership with the landowner?
That's so basically say it's very common in different downtown. Also, it happened in Hartford before. So you have an area that is not doing very well. In order to improve the situation, there needs to be initial investment. So the city will actually work on an ordinance to make a specific geographical area as they call it special district. And the city will actually spend money to improve it, but where would the city get the money from? All the taxes that will actually, because the poverty will increase, so all the increase in taxes will go back to the city to pay for the initial investment by the city.
And these improvements, you're talking about like sidewalks and aesthetics, or you're talking about actually
So it
getting
can be
the
anything.
site?
It can be anything.
Okay, so getting these sites ready to be improved, knocked down, rebuilt, all that?
Exactly. Yes. Like,
Are you talking like maybe a tax rebate or a tax abatement or something like that? Or
it's not like this. Okay. It never happened in Danbury, but the state is giving an option. It's mainly about, hey, there's an area that is really doing bad and it's not going to improve. We need to spend a lot of money. But when the city will spend money, the taxes for the poverty will go up. Yes?
Okay. So you're talking about a special an additional tax assessment beside their regular assessment.
Exactly. That's
okay. Sure. Okay. I get it.
But
you get
I'm not
get it, Bobby?
say that again, please.
So they're talking about a special tax, an additional tax assessment besides the taxes on the improved parcel that would be paid to the city. There'd be an additional special tax, like a district tax or something like that, that would go back to the city to pay to get paid back for the improvements for the development to take place. Is that correct, Director?
That's very similar to what they're talking about. So
yeah.
This is.
Are you talking about helping them with like demolition, getting the site ready, actually building, or just getting the site ready for the new development? So
a lot of the details can be worked out once you have a geographical area and there's a buy-in from the property owner. The agreement between the city and property owners can differ. It can be negotiated. But the concept
I think even if the city designates areas and says, okay, these are like the areas we want to get cleaned up, knocked down, even if you helped them and brought them to the point where they could start building from a clean scratch piece of property, that would be a big improvement. And then let them take over from there. So you take care of any, you help them out if there's any situations with environmental, which that could get costly, but I mean, you're not going to be able to, some of these areas probably have environmental issues. So you have to help them with that. And then you have to help them with the demo. Then they have an accessible piece of property that can be built on. that would be instrumental, right, Teddy?
Yes, but there's also, I could envision, tell me, Director, if you think I'm wrong, but I can envision a developer wanting to develop a parcel and having some off-site development required, infrastructure, things like that, having that required, which the city has the right to do, and have the developer say, I'll tell you what, Mr. City, Mr. Danbury, foot the bill for my off-site development costs, and I will pay that back to you over time in a special tax. That could be useful as well.
I have seen it being done this way outside of Connecticut. In terms of Connecticut, I didn't look at the actual law that has been enacted. So I don't want to get into, I don't know all the details, but I know the general idea is just helping, basically, city will be paying upfront and recouping the money from the increase in taxes. This is the general idea. The details and all the legal requirement, that's something I can look at later, but just I wanted to share with you that the state allows it now. It didn't allow it in Connecticut before.
I mean, it sounds like, Teddy, to me, like a sewer assessment.
Yeah, it's an additional tax on top of it. Like if a developer wants to put in develop a project and they're told that they have to bring sidewalks off-site, they have to bring sidewalks down the road 600 feet to tie into an existing sidewalk. They have to change the traffic lights, change the synchronization, install crosswalks, and do this all around the project. That's sometimes it's a big number. Now, if the developer can say to the city, okay, I agree to your off-site development to give me my approval. Can you foot the bill and give me an assessment for it and pay it? That can get the project off the ground.
Except for, as far as I know, Ted, it does not apply to only one piece of land. It has to be a whole area.
A whole area.
It cannot
Okay.
be one-on-one. That's the clear indication from the state. So it's not for the benefit of one applicant. It has to be a whole area that the city council approves. And it's
Okay.
not, because if you look at what it says, the city might not actually cover its investment for 30 years. So
Okay.
it's an option. It's not a mandatory thing.
Yeah. It's a tool. It's a tool for us.
So is this something you could do for like the Amphenol property?
It's not for one property. It has to be a
Yeah,
whole
but
area.
that's that whole street though. Amphenol owns that whole street, so it's a whole block.
You know, it's a bigger discussion. I just wanted to point it out now.
Okay.
The actual decision will be city council. So
Yeah.
if you see
Well,
that,
it looks-
yeah, go ahead.
It looks like it's just another tool in our toolbox.
Yes,
which
that's
could be
exactly
helpful.
the way I see it.
Yeah. All right.
It can be a very useful tool depending on the financial situation of each community. If
Yeah.
a community is already has a lot of bonds and financial responsibilities, I don't see that anyone would be keen on getting into such a project. But some cities don't have a lot of financial commitments.
And who will be on the committee to identify these districts? Obviously, you'll be part of it, but will you be the only person, or you'll be working with someone from the third floor, or how are they going to designate what areas should be these districts in question?
I don't believe anybody's looking at it. It's me actually knowing about it and just updating you. We never even have a discussion internally. I just wanted you to be in the know about new legislative requirement or options, but it's not a discussion we had it in the city.
Okay. All right, we lost Joanne, so we better move on.
That's about it for now. That's all the updates I had for you and everything I wanted to share with you, so you know what we are working on.
Sounds great. Commission members, anything that you had in mind? Anything that you wanted to talk about, or questions on what you see is going on, or you're wondering what's going on, or any ideas that you might have that you'd like to see worked on or implemented? Commissioner O'Neill.
I just had a question. I had someone ask me about over on Sawmill Road, where we just changed the zoning, about the existing, I guess it would be sewer lines that are over there, and how adequate they were for the amount of people. So I don't know how old those pipes are, but I just wanted to say that someone asked me about it and just put
Director, do you know anything
the
about the
radar.
infrastructure over there on the sewer lines? I think that they're pretty much up to date, aren't they? I don't know about
Up to
capacity.
date, actually up to date, and we, as part of the zoning requirement, there were part of the submission talking about how the new property will tie into the existing one, and it meets all the engineering requirement, meaning the city engineering requirement. If you recall, we actually started the project last year, and there was a lot of discussions and back and forth between the applicant's engineer and our city engineers. And I know that the new design that the applicant proposed met all the requirement with no exception.
So
Okay.
you're good to go with that, Commissioner O'Neill. You could tell your people that everything's up to par. In fact, I think it was around 2002, 2004, they put in a new mill plane. What do they call that? There's some word that they use for that.
Lateral or
How was the expansion of the that line? I think it was even underneath, the pipes were underneath 84 or something, but that was all updated to handle the capacity for that future development, which we're at the end of right now, actually. So it's
Right,
all
and if you,
it's all good
yeah,
over there.
it's all good. And if you recall at some point during tonight's presentation, I had a slide showing sewer and water connections. The area we're talking about is very well covered, even
Yeah.
by the estimate from Westcog.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Anything else, commission members?
I got to thank Waleed. Excellent presentation.
Yes, of
Thanks,
course.
Tom.
Thank you. Thank you, Director.
And by all means, if you guys have any questions, you know my phone number, just give me a call. Again, I might not know the answer, but I'm sure I will find it if I don't have it available, I mean.
Thank you.
Thank
Anything else,
you.
commission members? No, I think we're good. Thank you, Director. Very well done. It's good to
yes,
see,
very, very good.
it's good to see the updates, and again, all your hard work is appreciated. Thank you.
And
I
Mr.
want to make a motion that we keep the planning director that we have. Anyone want to second it?
So,
We'll
Bob,
second
so
it.
I forgot to mention something. I will be keep guys all in the loop. You know what happened with 5002.
Yeah, back, they're starting up again, aren't they?
Yes, for you to know, which is not the best piece of news I wanted to share or end with, what I was new last week, the governor is looking at it again. I
Yeah.
don't know. So if it happens, or if they sign it the way it was approved before, then we will have to have a very long meeting to discuss what this means for the whole commission.
Yeah. Yeah, that's back. They said they were going to revisit it in September, and some of the bad guys are tiptoeing their way in already to get this thing front and center pretty soon. And I think I hope the governor just didn't veto this thing here just to take the heat off and
I hope
throw
so.
it down the road a little bit. And pull the wool over our eyes again, but it looks like that might be happening.
Yes, so I will definitely keep you in the loop because it's very, very important about a lot of what you are doing. If it passes, sorry, if it's signed by the governor, then a lot of what we do will have to be looked at in a different way. I don't want to say undermined, but I will say it has to be
Yeah.
a different way to know exactly what we can do and what we wouldn't be able to do.
Now, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, is what helps us a little bit is we're over the 10%, and we've already got a TOD district established.
Yes.
So that helps us, but it helps a little bit, and it still slaughters all of the surrounding communities, in my opinion.
Well, Lee,
Well-
aren't we, isn't it a thought that we just decided or found out that we're just dipping below the 10% now because of the 20-year amount of 20-year contracts that we had with the affordable housing units, that some of them are coming to due. So we are like close to dipping below the 10%.
They do it every March, and this March we came in at 10.34, 10.4, something like that.
10.59 as we speak now.
10.59.
We are hopeful that within the next couple of months, we'll add 10 more units. That will take us to almost 11 or a little, or maybe 10.89 or so.
Yeah.
And hopefully there will be more affordable housing. We are looking at 79 more units within the next 20 months.
All right, so there's no question that we'll be staying that threshold of 10% or better.
Well, the next calculation is next March. All right. And so we want to, I mean, that's crucial.
Look, we are doing all what we can, and that's what part of what we're trying to do. Just I forgot to mention, if we are to have the new corridor I was talking about, affordable housing will no longer be an incentive, it will be a requirement.
Right.
So that's part of what we are doing. No longer, hey, if you do X number of affordable housing, you get 1 story more. No, it will be minimum 10%, period. This is part of the only way to deal with the situation we have.
And there, a lot of those deed restrictions are coming off within the next year or two also, Commissioner Botello, you're correct. So, anything else, commission members? Anything else? There's nothing else under for reference only. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn at 8:57? Motion to
Come on,
adjourn.
ladies. Come on, ladies.
Commissioner Harrison, motion
There you
to
go.
adjourn.
Yes, come here.
Second by Commissioner O'Neill.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, let the record show we adjourned at 8:57 p.m. Director, thank you very much for everything.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Thank you.
I think it was a productive night. Thank you. It was good.
Good night.
Thank
Wonderful.
you, man. Thank you, Joanne. Appreciate
All right.
everything, Joanne.
Yes, thank you, Joanne.
And the commission members that showed up for tonight.
I fear that you have your work cut out for you if you're going to do the minutes of this meeting. Good night, guys. See you.
Good night.
I
Good night.
always have my work cut